Incredible story revealed, brave girl trades 20 million for life-saving treatment, inspiring hope. Maggie Thompson, the heart of Maple Grove, was just 12 years old when her world shattered. An ordinary day turned extraordinary as she learned her dreams of becoming a veterinarian were threatened by a chilling diagnosis. A rare medical condition loomed over her like a storm cloud, and the only chance at survival was an outrageous experimental treatment costing $20 million. The stakes were high not just for Maggie's life, but for her family's modest farm, the roots of their legacy that ran deep in the community. Her spirit was as vibrant as the wildflowers that dotted the fields, ever since she was little. She had spent countless days tending to animals, her hands always warm and gentle. But now, the weight of her diagnosis felt like a heavy anchor dragging her down. Tears filled her mother's eyes when she broke the news, but Maggie took a deep breath. "We're going to make this happen," she declared, determination seeping into her fragile voice. The very next day, under the whispering oaks where she had played as a child, Maggie gathered her friends and neighbors. "We need to raise money, $20 million. We can save my life," she shouted, her heart pounding like a drum. The urgency in her voice resonated deeply within the tight-knit community, sending ripples of encouragement throughout Maple Grove. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Amidst the hustle, Maggie's mother, Sarah, stood proudly by her side, wiping the tears away with a bittersweet smile. Together, they reached out to local businesses, organized bake sales, and set up a GoFundMe page. The idea sparked the townsfolk's imagination, each of them remembering the little girl who would coax sick rabbits back to health and sit with ailing horses until they felt better. But just as hope blossomed, Maggie's estranged father, Tom, a war veteran with shadows in his past, returned, his face bearing the weight of years spent fighting demons, both external and within. While some welcomed him back, others whispered in disapproval. In the heart of the Thompson household, tension brewed, and old wounds were ripped open like freshly cut wounds. Every day blurred into night as the townspeople rallied. Donations poured in, but so did painful realizations. The reality of financial struggles crept into their efforts, pulling at their heartstrings. Yet, as Maggie stood before the town hall, clutching the microphone, nerves racking her courage, she felt the presence of her community. Friends, family, and neighbors filled the seats, a sea of shared vulnerability. Would they understand the depths of her fight? Would they stand strong amidst the chaos? Just as she gathered courage to speak, a whisper broke the air, and an unexpected announcement hovered on the horizon. The future of her dream, the treatment that meant life or death, teetered precariously. What would this reveal mean for Maggie and her community? Would they be able to pull together to overcome this overwhelming obstacle, or would fractures tear apart what they fought so hard to hold together? Maggie looked out at the crowd, her heart racing. She could see faces she recognized, filled with concern and hope. But just as she was about to begin her speech, a loud voice cut through the tense atmosphere. "We're here for you, Maggie." It was Peter, a neighbor who had been like a big brother to her. His words managed to lighten the air, and the murmurs of support echoed like a soothing chorus through the hall. Steeling herself, Maggie took a deep breath and gripped the microphone a little tighter. Brief flashes of doubt flickered in her mind. Would they believe in her? Would they stay united in this fight? "Thank you all for being here," she started, her voice trembling slightly before gaining strength. "I know the mountain we need to climb is steep, but I believe with all my heart that we can reach the top together." The crowd leaned in closer, captivated by her fierce determination. A few heads nodded, and she caught sight of her mother in the front row, tears glistening in her eyes but a proud smile breaking through the hopelessness. Maggie pressed forward, her words pouring like a waterfall, each phrase fueled by the love and support that surrounded her. Every dollar we raise is a step closer to that 20 million toward the treatment that will save my life. If anyone can do this, it's South Maple Grove. The applause erupted, echoing off the walls. It felt electric, like a wave crashing on a shore, washing away doubts and fears. For a moment, Maggie allowed herself to bask in that moment, the warmth of community spirit. But in the back of her mind lingered the specter of her father's return. Tom had always struggled to fit in, his presence in their home causing friction between Sarah and Maggie. As the applause subsided, she caught a glimpse of him standing just outside the crowd, hesitation written all over his face. Would he support her or retreat into his shadows again? Suddenly, an unexpected noise drew everyone's attention, splintering glass followed by the crack of a broom being dropped. It was her neighbor, Mrs. Anderson, having tripped over a chair. With everyone's gaze turning toward her, Mrs. Anderson chuckled, clumsy as always. Laughter erupted, and the tension shattered. It was a small, fleeting moment of normalcy, but it stoked the fire of hope in Maggie's heart. They were in this together, supporting one another through laughter and tears. As the town began to discuss fundraising ideas, Maggie felt a rush of gratitude towards the people of Maple Grove. They were brainstorming car washes, bake-offs, marathons, anything to gather the money her father owed in just a few weeks. But just when the moment of unity seemed to cement itself, Tom stepped into the bright lights of the hall, his voice low and careful. "I want to help, too, if you'll have me." The room fell silent. Maggie's heart raced faster than ever. Would they accept him back? Or would his return rip open the wounds they were all desperately trying to heal? All eyes turned to Maggie. Did they trust her to make the right decision? Staring at her father, she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. What was she going to say? What would this choice mean for their family and the community? The air crackled with anticipation. And in that moment, everything lay in the balance. Would she find the strength to embrace her father, and would their fractured family finally be able to stand strong against the tide? Maggie held her breath, the moment stretching into what felt like eternity. She could see the doubt etched on some faces, her friends, her family, even the strangers who had come to support her. Everyone was waiting. "Dad," she finally spoke, her voice quiet but clear, "I've missed you." The words slipped out, raw with emotion. The hall felt like it had been hit by a gust of wind. A mix of surprise and relief rippled through the crowd. Tom's expression softened, his eyes widening, but there was hesitation in his stance. I just want to help," he insisted, his voice barely above a whisper. Maggie's heart raced. She remembered the fights, the anger, the cold silences that lingered after. But now, here he was, taking a tentative step forward. Could this really be the moment of healing she had been yearning for? She wanted to reject the past, but the hope welling up inside her felt too potent to ignore. "Together, we can make this work," Maggie said, feeling a surge of courage. "Our family may be fractured, but we have a chance to mend it. If we can come together here, can't we do the same?" Tension hung in the air like an unresolved note, and she searched the crowd for a sign of acceptance. Her mother's face revealed astonishment mixed with cautious optimism. One by one, people began to nod. It was small, but some murmured affirmations or whispered words of support. "You're right, Maggie," Peter said, breaking the moment of silence. "We can build something stronger here." Tom took a nervous step forward, glancing at the faces around him seeking approval. "I've made mistakes, and I know a lot of you don't trust me. But I'm willing to start fresh. I want to be part of this community again." There was a ripple of surprise, then murmurs of encouragement picked up. A few brave souls stepped forward, leaning toward Tom. "We all have room for change," one woman said, her voice reassuring. "It's about moving forward." The applause that followed was tentative at first. But it grew in strength, like a heart beating back into life. Maggie's breath caught in her throat as she saw warmth replace doubt in her father's eyes. Taking a deep breath, Tom smiled, and for the first time in a long while, he looked like the father she remembered. "Thank you," he said, his voice cracking under the weight of emotion. "I won't let you down again." As the crowd began to discuss a plan of action again, an idea sparked in Maggie's mind. What if we have a big community festival? A day filled with activities, food, and music. We could turn it into a fundraiser. Her suggestion met with bursts of excitement, and soon ideas flowed like a river. The energy shifted, the air buzzed, and laughter began to fill the hall again. The revival of hope was palpable. Yet, even as she reveled in the thriving enthusiasm, Maggie felt a twinge of apprehension. What if Tom's intentions were good now, but he faltered later? What if they faced more challenges than they anticipated? But before she could dwell on those unfamiliar fears, she noticed her mother gazing at her, a mixture of love and pride. "I'm proud of you, sweetheart," her mom said softly, tears of joy sparkling in her eyes. Suddenly, the uncertainty faded into the background. Emboldened, Maggie stepped back up to the microphone. "Maple Grove, let us shine brighter than ever. Let us show the world what determination looks like." The crowd erupted into cheers, their voices a chorus lifting each other's spirits. But as excitement swelled, another voice emerged from the back of the hall, someone who had been silent for too long. "Maggie," it said, strong and commanding. "What if the answer to saving your community leads down a much darker path?" Every eye turned toward the newcomer, and in that instant, the cheerful atmosphere shifted once more into uncertainty. What could they possibly mean? The murmurs swept through the hall like a sudden chill in the air. Faces turned towards the stranger who had spoken, and the weight of curiosity pressed down on Maggie. She couldn't see clearly. The crowd had surged forward, eager to catch a glimpse of this shadowy figure who seemed to cast doubt on everything they just built up. "Who are you?" someone shouted, breaking the stunned silence. The stranger stepped into view, a tall figure with eyes full of intensity. "I'm just someone who knows the other side of this town, the one most people choose to ignore." The voice was smooth, almost hypnotic. "Let me ask you this: how far are you willing to go to save Maple Grove?" Maggie's heart beat faster. What did they mean by the other side? She felt a growing unease. The festival was supposed to be a joyful occasion, a celebration of unity. "We're trying to bring everyone together," she said, trying to match the stranger's confidence with her own. "And at what cost?" They countered, their voice echoing in the now quiet hall. "Sometimes, the things we do for our loved ones can lead us down darker paths. What if you have to sacrifice more than you realize?" A gnawing fear twisted in her stomach. The faces around her had shifted from anticipation to concern. Maggie's mother looked as if she were trying to process the implications of this stranger's words, her brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Maggie pressed, stepping forward so their eyes would meet. "Are you saying we shouldn't even try?" "No," the stranger replied, a hint of compassion breaking through the harsh edges of their tone. "But be careful. Losing sight of what truly matters can blur your goals. It's easy to get lost in the noise. You think a festival is all it takes to save this place?" The crowd fell into silence, absorbed in this new reality. The flickers of hope from moments before felt fragile now, as though they might shatter under the weight of doubt. "But we can't just give up," Peter interjected, trying to rally those around him. "This is a new beginning, isn't it?" "New beginnings can bring new dangers," the stranger said, their gaze sweeping over everyone. "You celebrate in ignorance while the real threats linger beneath the surface." Maggie felt a burning anger rise up within her. "What do you know about us? About Maple Grove? We have each other, and we're going to build something wonderful here." Her voice was stronger now, but she could feel her confidence wavering. Yet, the stranger's expression softened slightly. "All I'm saying is, there are battles you won't see coming. Listen." They leaned in closer, their voice dropping to a whisper. Watch who comes to your aid. You might find the darkness within your own circle. Maggie's mind raced. Could there be hidden resentments among their group, fears lying just out of sight? As the crowd buzzed with confusion and questions, some suggesting they throw the stranger out, others demanding to know more, Maggie's heart thudded with concern. What if the real danger wasn't outside, but right in front of them? She glanced back at Tom, who stood awkwardly among the people. Was he truly on her side? Or did he harbor unspoken regrets? The festival was meant to be a chance for healing, but what if it revealed wounds that only darkness could deepen? As the murmur of voices faded into the background, Maggie stepped back toward the microphone. Her heart pounded like a war drum. We have to understand the cost of what we're doing, she started, voice shaky but clear. So, I need everyone to promise to stay vigilant, to listen to each other. Because the true battle, it might just be starting. The crowd quieted again, absorbing the gravity of her words. Yet deep inside, Maggie felt an unsettling sense of foreboding. The warmth of unity that had enveloped them moments ago felt delicate now, like a flame about to flicker out. As she took a breath, ready to pave the way forward, she couldn't shake the feeling that an unseen storm was brewing. What other truths lay hidden in the shadows? Maggie stood at the microphone, heart racing, unsure if she was about to inspire or deepen the fear that was settling over the crowd. The stranger's warning echoed in her mind, taunting her with the uncertainty of betrayal festering in the hearts of those she trusted. She scanned the room, searching for comfort, for some sort of familiar face that would reassure her they were all in this together. Peter's anxious expression reflected doubt, while her mother's lips pressed into a thin line of worry. But Tom, he stood with his arms crossed, staring straight ahead, shadow and light dancing across his face. Was he contemplating the same thing she was? Or was he already caught in whatever trap the stranger hinted at? The silence hung heavy. She thought about what she had fought for, the long hours planning the festival, rallying the community to breathe hope into their beloved Maple Grove. Suddenly, it all felt fragile. As the unease grew, something snapped inside her. Just look around. She demanded, her voice gaining strength. This is us. This is who we are. If we let fear control us, we'll lose everything we've built. But her words tumbled over one another, uncertainty creeping in. What if those she called friends were not allies at all? What if she was wrong to ignite this fire? A bead of sweat slid down her spine as she felt the eyes of strangers and friends alike on her, judging, weighing, measuring. Then, the stranger stepped forward again, cutting through the tension like a knife. Your passion is admirable, but passion alone isn't enough to protect you, they warned. Facades can hide storms, and while you dance in the sunlight, the shadows grow deeper. Maggie shook her head as the rogue waves of doubt threatened to drown her optimism. What are you suggesting? Her voice trembled, but she fortified it with resolve. Are we just to live in fear because of what could be? The stranger tilted their head slightly, evaluating her. Fear can be your guide, they said softly. Listen to it. If you don't, you might overlook the very peril that walks beside you. It was a chilling thought, sending a shiver down her spine. Suddenly the festival ground, a place of joy and celebration, felt like a battlefield. As the crowd murmured uneasily, Maggie thought of her dreams for Maple Grove, the family she wanted to build, the laughter she wanted to share. If what the stranger said was true and truth had a way of unraveling everything she believed, then who was standing beside her? Who could she truly trust? Maggie, she heard Tom say, breaking her trance. His voice was steady, but his eyes held doubt. We can't turn back now. We've come too far. She wanted to reach out and assure him everything would be okay, that they were a team. But wasn't doubt already creeping into their ranks? The world spun around her, their hopes intermingling with shadows cast by this mysterious being. Would they weather this storm together, or did the darkness loom too close? Feeling like a flower caught in a storm, Maggie clenched her fists at her sides. If we're going to fight, we'll do it together. She called into the thrumming uncertainty, searching faces for affirmation. We can't let fear tear us apart. We need to stay united, to trust one another. If we're going to face down whatever's out there, we have to believe in each other. The crowd seemed to ripple, some nodding, others swallowing back the tide of doubt. A flicker of hope ignited in her chest. But as the air buzzed with mixed emotions, she felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down once more. Tom's expression, anxious yet uncertain, hovered in front of her vision, deepening her concerns. What if her voice couldn't bridge the gaps forming among them? And then, in that fragile moment of hope, the stranger smiled knowingly. You'd better hurry, they whispered, just loud enough for Maggie to hear. The true costs are yet to be revealed. Truth is coming. With those words, the room started to fade around her, and Maggie realized the festival wasn't just a celebration anymore, it was the calm before the storm. Where would that storm take them, and who would still be standing at the end? Maggie's heart raced as she felt the room constrict around her. The stranger's words echoed ominously in her mind. The true costs are yet to be revealed. She looked at the faces in the crowd, searching desperately for clarity, a flicker of unwavering support, but instead saw a sea of confusion. Tom's eyes locked with hers, searching for answers. Maggie, we need to take it one step at a time, he urged. Let us focus on the festival. It's what we've worked so hard for. His words felt warm, but the chill of doubt lingered. What if it's all in vain? She thought, gripping the microphone tighter. The stranger had cast a shadow on everything she believed in. The festival was supposed to be a light in the dark, a gathering of spirits united under hope. Yet here she was, harboring thoughts that it could be the very thing tearing them apart. People in the crowd shifted restlessly, murmurs breaking over the silence like waves crashing on a shore. Each hushed voice seemed to weigh heavier upon her heart. She could sense the doubt threading its way through the crowd, festering like an unwelcome weed among the vibrant flowers she had hoped to cultivate. Maggie, let us rally, Peter called out, breaking through her whirlwind of thoughts. We've got people counting on us. This festival isn't just for us, it's for everyone in Maple Grove. His words hung in the air, a lifeline thrown into the turbulent sea. Renewed vigor sparked in her chest. Yes. Yes. She exclaimed, now addressing the crowd with fervor. This is about our community. About our resilience. We need to remember why we're here. To celebrate, to uplift one another, to draw strength from each other. Fear has no place here. As she spoke, she saw some faces brighten with hope, nodding in agreement. Yet there were still others who remained doubtful, shadows traversing their expressions. It made her heart ache. She needed to bring them back not just for the festival, but for themselves. But then she noticed something unsettling in the corner of her eye. The stranger had not left. They stood still, watching like a hawk, their presence a reminder that they were still looming, that their prophecy of peril hovered over the gathering. Maggie felt that familiar rush of uncertainty. What do you want? She demanded, her voice cutting through the noise. You came here with your warnings. What are you trying to achieve? What will you gain from this? The stranger took a step closer, their face shrouded in shadows, yet their voice was clear and cold. I seek only to unveil the truth. They gestured towards the crowd. Fear thrives on ignorance. Are you prepared to witness what lies beneath the surface of this so-called unity? The words hit her like a punch. She glanced back at her friends. They were caught in a whirlwind, too. Did they see the shadows creeping in, the division forming like cracks in a glass? Maggie, we can't listen to them, Tom whispered, concern etched on his face. It's a tactic to drive us apart. Is it? She countered. What if we're only ignoring the dark corners of our own home? The crowd stirred uneasily. She felt the ground shifting beneath her, the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. Could she lead them through a storm she was not sure they could survive? The fear that accompanied this thought was suffocating, yet her heart urged her on. "I won't have this end in fear or confusion," she declared, raising her chin defiantly. "We'll confront the truth. Together." Cheering erupted from some in the crowd, but others still hesitated, uncertainty tightening around them like a noose. Maggie took a deep breath, feeling the tension coil inside her. She knew this wasn't the end, it was only the beginning. Trust was on the edge of a knife, and the next move she made would either strengthen their bonds or tear them apart completely. As the crowd's anticipation swelled, she held her breath, waiting for the first sign of what would come next. Would they rally behind her call, or would the truth bring them to their knees? In that charged silence, she couldn't help but wonder what dark revelations were still waiting, lurking just beyond their reach, ready to emerge from the shadows. Was she still prepared to unearth them, no matter the cost? Maggie's heart thumped loudly in her chest, every beat echoing her growing resolve. The stranger's cold gaze remained fixed on her, a silent challenge in the air. "We're not afraid," she thought fiercely, pushing aside the fear that clutched at her throat. "This is our moment. Together. Let us show them who we are." She shouted, her voice ringing out with a newfound strength. Some, emboldened by her words, began to cheer, a ripple that spread through the crowd. But as the applause grew, she caught glimpses of the uncertain ones. Faces shadowed by doubt, eyes cast downward like hikers lost in a fog. She felt a pang of sympathy for them. They deserved comfort, not fear. She remembered what the festival meant: the laughter, the connection, the stories shared over hot cocoa and candy apples. It was a tapestry of shared joy, woven together by the community. "Maggie! We're behind you!" shouted Sarah, breaking the tension further. Sarah's unwavering spirit was a reminder of the belief they had cultivated together. Maggie's heart swelled. "We can face whatever comes," she thought, her connection to her friends electrifying. Yet doubt lurked in the corners. What if they're right? The voice in her head whispered. What if facing the truth brings down the walls? Maggie looked back at the stranger, ground away by the rising tide of emotion. "The truth can foster growth, not fear," she declared, more to herself than anyone else. "But we must do it together." The crowd began to chant her name. "Maggie! Maggie!" Waves of encouragement washed over her, bolstering her spirit as she glanced back at Tom. His eyes glimmered with admiration, yet they held an undercurrent of concern as he scanned the faces around them. "What do you think we should do?" he asked quietly, stepping closer. The dim light cast shadows on his face, highlighting the seriousness etched in his features. "I think we can't be afraid to confront what lies beneath, or we'll never find out how strong we really are," she replied, feeling the fire within reigniting. Tom nodded, accepting her resolve, but his gaze drifted once more toward the stranger. "And if that costs us?" The question lingered in the air, thick and heavy. Would she risk everything to uncover what was hidden? She turned back to the crowd, fortified by the presence of her community. "Let's bring our fears into the light," she announced. The applause erupted again, buoyed by her determination. The atmosphere transformed, and it felt like the very air crackled around them, the energy shifting, ready to embrace the challenge ahead. But just as unity seemed to be enveloping them, the stranger's voice sliced through the air like a cold wind, sharp and foreboding. "What will you do when the harmony crumbles? When your own truths tear at the fabric of your togetherness?" Maggie felt the chill wash over her, the weight of the words pressing down, threatening to pull the joyful energy away. She could see the fear in others' faces, a flicker of doubt ignited by those looming shadows creeping in once again. "I won't let that happen," she shouted, infused with fierce passion. "We are Maple Grove. We've built this together, and we will not let one voice tear us apart." The crowd erupted in a roar, but but the stranger stood unmoved, their expression inscrutable. As cheers filled her ears, Maggie's heart thrummed with both hope and trepidation. In that moment, the festival seemed more important than ever, not just a celebration, but a battleground for the spirit of their community. But deep down, a greater question loomed. What dark truths were waiting hidden in the shadows, and at what cost would they find them? As Maggie's pulse quickened, she felt the pull of the unknown, an unsettling promise that something pivotal was just around the corner. What awaited them, she wondered, as she glanced toward the gathering dusk. Would she be ready to face it? The truth, whatever it brought, was about to reveal itself. The air crackled with tension as Maggie stood before the crowd, the weight of the stranger's words still echoing in her mind. She had ignited a flame, but could it withstand the winds of doubt? As cheers filled the space around her, she sensed the shift in energy, like the moment before a storm breaks, the thrill of anticipation tinged with an edge of fear. Maggie turned to her friends, searching their faces for reassurance. Sarah beamed back at her, unshaken. Tom raised an eyebrow, his worry palpable, but he nodded encouragingly. She could feel the pulse of her community, their hope and fear swirling together, drifting like leaves caught in a breeze. "Let us not let our fears take the spotlight," Maggie urged, her heart racing as the crowd quieted, drawn to her again. "We must stand together, or we'll fall apart. Who are we if we let that happen?" An elderly man in the front stepped forward, his voice cracking with age but firm with conviction. "We are Maple Grove. We are more than the shadows that scare us." The crowd responded with a raucous cheer, a wave of collective strength that washed over Maggie. The stranger, momentarily taken aback, regrouped. "You tout harmony, but each of you harbors secrets. That's the truth you fear," they countered, slicing through the moment again. It felt like ice water to Maggie's veins, chilling her core. What did they know that she didn't? What if we don't hide our truths? Maggie challenged, a defiant spark ignited within her. What if we embrace our vulnerabilities instead? The thought was strange yet exhilarating. Would revealing those parts of themselves finally set them free? "You think doing that will save you?" The stranger laughed, a hollow, mocking sound that ricocheted off the festival stalls. "You're a brittle web waiting to break. Just wait until the first thread snaps, that's when you'll see your real colors." Maggie's heart clenched. Could they truly unravel if they opened up? Her mind raced, searching for a way to shift the tide. "We've celebrated through hardships, joy, and pain," she exclaimed. "It's all part of our story. Let us own it, every single bit." The crowd started to murmur, the energy shifting again. They had come to share the warmth of the festival, they longed for honesty, for connection. Faces began to nod, slowly at first, but gaining momentum. Then, in a hushed heartbeat, someone from the back cried out, "I lost my brother last year. I never talked about it. It still hurts." The confession hung like a heavy fog over the group, tangible and raw. Others shifted uncomfortably but drew closer as if to protect that soul who had just laid bare their grief. Maggie felt a surge of determination. Exactly. We all carry burdens. But let us not shoulder them alone. Sharing can heal wounds we thought would never mend. Shaking voices joined in, sharing pieces of their truths. The stories flowed, unfurling like petals opening at dawn. Each revelation became a thread woven into the tapestry of their community. The stranger stood on the sidelines, their expression one of disbelief mixed with a hint of growing concern. As the crowd became a chorus of confessions, Maggie felt her own worry dissolve into a mingling warmth of solidarity. They were standing taller, stronger, as honesty illuminated the dark corners where fear used to reside. Yet, in that cathartic moment, Maggie noticed the stranger moving to step back, disappearing into the edges of the festival. A twist of unease stirred in her gut. "Where are you going?" she called out, her voice rising above the laughter and tears. But the stranger merely glanced back, a knowing smile creeping onto their lips, one that hinted at a deeper understanding of what lay ahead. "You think this is over?" "The truth is only the beginning," they remarked, before vanishing completely into the crowd. Maggie's heart plummeted. What did that mean? Had they only scratched the surface of something much larger, much darker than she had imagined? With their unity now alive, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were now entangled in a web of truths that would test them all. What would their journey uncover? And could they hold the threads without falling apart? In the midst of laughter and stories, a sense of urgency settled over Maggie. The real challenge was just beginning, and she would need every ounce of support from her friends. Would they truly be ready for what awaited them? The festival's vibrant colors began to dim as the sun dipped below the horizon. Candlelight flickered to life, casting a warm glow on faces still glistening with a mix of tears, laughter, and the weight of shared vulnerability. Maggie felt the atmosphere shift. It was electric yet uncertain. She glanced at Sarah and Tom, both looking a bit lost in their thoughts, their expressions reflecting the quiet turmoil in her heart. "Do we really understand what this means for us?" Maggie whispered to them, her voice almost swallowed by the sounds of the festival. "We've uncovered truths together, but what if those truths lead to more pain?" Tom rubbed the back of his neck. It felt good to share. "But you're right. There's a lot we're still hiding and a lot we don't even know about ourselves." Sarah, ever the optimist, tightened her grip on Maggie's arm. "But look. We stood together and embraced our pain. That's a start. Maybe it's just the beginning of healing." As the crowd began to break off into smaller groups, Maggie felt a pull towards the lonely figure in the corner, the man who had shared about his brother. His face was etched with sorrow, but his eyes shimmered like the candles around him, filled with unyet revealed emotions. "I need to talk to him," she declared. Tom nodded, his brow furrowed with concern, but he didn't try to stop her. Sarah, sensing the moment's gravity, followed closely. As they approached, Maggie could see the man grappling with his grief, cradling a half-empty cup of cider. Part of her wanted to retreat, feeling the weight of his sadness, but another part, one that had ignited during her speech, urged her to reach out. "Hey," Maggie said softly, kneeling to meet his gaze. "I just wanted to say your courage to share was incredible. I can't imagine what you're feeling." He blinked, the raw edges of his grief still fresh. "It's just I never knew how to talk about it. One minute he was there, and then he was gone. A part of me never left with him." Maggie's heart twisted at his pain. She wanted to say the right thing, to comfort him, to help him find a semblance of peace amid his turmoil. "You're not alone in this. We're all carrying something heavy. What if we kept talking together?" Others began to draw nearer, their conversations fading as they leaned in to listen. Slowly, the man nodded, the weight of unexpressed grief still visible, but a flicker of hope sparked in his eyes. "I wish I'd had the courage to say something sooner." As more people gathered around, sharing their own burdens and stories, the atmosphere transformed once again. It was as if each shared story was like a drop of rain nurturing dry soil. The seeds of connection began to blossom, and Maggie felt a profound sense of purpose rising within her. Maybe this is what the stranger meant, she thought, her heart pounding with possibility. Could facing our hidden truths be a path to healing? The crowd grew, voices intertwining as tales of loss mingled with hints of hope, the sacredness of their honesty drawing them closer together, weaving a tapestry of shared pain and resilience. Suddenly, a guttural laugh broke through the echo of their stories. It was cold and cynical, rising from the edge of the gathering. The stranger had returned, a figure wrapped in shadows and certainty. "How wonderfully naive!" they called out, capturing attention once more. "What makes you think this change will last? You think confessions will cleanse the sins you hide?" Maggie felt the tension spike again, heart racing as the collective sentiment of the crowd shifted. The air grew thick with doubt, worry etched on familiar faces. She stepped forward, clenching her fists as she prepared to respond. "We'll show you our strength. Sharing is just the first step. We are Maple Grove, and we are more than our fears." But as she spoke, the stranger's smile grew wider, a mixture of mockery and intrigue. "Oh, I hope you're right," they replied, their voice a twisted melody of skepticism. "But believe me, the real challenges are just around the corner." With that, the air hung heavy with uncertainty and anticipation. What truth lay before them still? And would their newly forged bonds be strong enough when what they faced was far darker than fear itself? The night wore on, but the festival atmosphere was shifting. Laughter mixed with the lingering echoes of hesitation as Maggie grappled with the stranger's warning. They were standing on a precipice, having just started to peel back the layers of their fears and insecurities. But what if the revelations led them down a darker path? "Maggie!" Peter called from the crowd, slicing through her thoughts. "We should keep this momentum going. Let us invite more people to share their stories." His enthusiasm was infectious, yet impulsive. That's it. The festival was about unity, and inviting more voices could fortify the fabric they were weaving. "Let us gather everyone. Your stories have been so powerful, and we can face whatever comes next together," she said, heart aflutter, recognizing the importance of their collective strength. With a renewed sense of purpose, she hopped up onto a makeshift stage, her voice ringing clear. "Everyone. If you have something to share, step forward. We're here to listen, to connect." The crowd shifted, whispers brushed through like gentle breezes, and one by one, people stepped into the light, taking their turns on the stage. Each voice added bricks to the foundation they had started building, their tales diverse yet interlinked by common threads of hope, grief, and love. Maggie felt joy bubbling within her, hands shaking with delight as she listened. Stories of loss resonated intimately with each confession, reminders of life's fragility perfumed the air. She saw tears glimmering in eyes even as smiles persisted, creating a beautiful dance of emotions. But amidst this blossoming connection, the figure lurking in the shadows was not gone. The stranger stood aside, watching with an inscrutable expression. Each new story seemed to only deepen the tension radiating out from them. When the last story was told, a gentle breeze swept through the crowd. Maggie sought to seal this moment with her words. "These stories weave us together," she proclaimed, passionate. "They're a testament to our strength and resilience. We may not know what tomorrow holds, but we do know we have each other." The crowd erupted in applause, and Maggie felt a swell of gratitude wash over her, igniting new warmth despite the encounter with the stranger. It felt right, it felt powerful. Suddenly, the stranger stepped forward, their presence commanding attention once again. "Amusing sentiment," they called, voice tinged with mockery. "But tell me, what will you do when those shared truths transform into chaos? What if what you learn about each other is too much to bear?" A gasp rippled through the crowd. Maggie's chest tightened. Was she wrong to bring everyone's truths to light? She quickly searched for solace in her friends' faces, but uncertainty clouded the joy that once lit the night. "Those truths bind us, they don't break us," she stated, gathering her courage. "We can handle the weight together. We've already taken the first step by speaking out. We have each other, and that matters more than whatever darkness is lurking." "Is it?" the stranger said, a sly smile twisting their lips. "Unity is fragile. Just wait until one tip of the scale throws you off balance." Maggie felt her heart race as whispers of doubt began to circulate again. Would they break apart under pressure? Would past grievances unravel their new connections? Enough. In a surprising display of strength, Sarah stepped out, voice fierce. "We won't let anxiety govern us. We've faced enough trials together and emerged stronger every time. We are a family here in Maple Grove." The crowd roared with approval, and Maggie felt the warmth of unity enveloping her once more. They were all in this together. Togetherness ignited hope, even in the whispers of doubt. People nodded in agreement, defiance playing in their eyes. For a moment, the threat of darkness felt distant, like clouds dispersing in the light of the sun. Yet deep inside Maggie's gut, the fleeting unease remained a warning nestled in the corners of her heart. Then from the front, a timid voice piped up, "But what if unity isn't enough?" This voice belonged to a girl the crowd recognized as Alice, someone who had kept to the corners during the festival. "What if we don't know how to be strong together?" Maggie felt fear flicker through her. The stranger's smile widened, seeking opportunity in the uncertainty Alice had unwittingly provided. But she gathered her courage. "We're learning. It's not right to define our strength by our past grievances. We're forgiving and growing. Together." Slowly, murmurs shifted into affirmations, each declaration pushing back against the uncertainty brought forth by the stranger. "Together. Together." The crowd echoed. She could feel the energy swelling, bringing vitality back into the festival. But would this resilience hold when the shadows rose again? Could their courage withstand deeper betrayals lurking beneath their facade of unity? "Then let us create an alliance, something tangible," Maggie said, rallying herself again. "Let us commit to open dialogue and be a support system for each other. Can we do that?" "Yes." The crowd boomed back, a wave of belief surging forward. And in that electric moment, the festival returned to vibrancy, a celebration of stories woven into one collective history. Yet she couldn't ignore the stranger, still watching, still whispering doubt into the night. As laughter and conversations thrummed in the background, Maggie caught the lingering eye of the stranger. "Just be careful, Maple Grove. Whatever you're hiding will come to light," they warned, before slipping back into the shadows. Taking a deep breath, Maggie clutched the microphone one last time, her heart beating wildly. "We are Maple Grove. Together we rise, together we fall. Whatever truth lies ahead, we'll handle it as one." The crowd erupted, loud enough to drown out the lingering doubt. But even in the midst of their triumph, a question hovered in the air: what truths remained hidden in the shadows? As they celebrated, the night stretched on, their fight only just beginning. Together, they took up arms not just for the festival, but for their community, their strength, and the truths that lay waiting. And somehow, amidst the celebrations, Maggie began to believe they could handle even the darkest storms ahead. But only time would reveal the true cost of their courage.